Hey guys, I know this review is going to be up a little bit later, but that's just because I had to fly back to Arizona this past weekend, and this weekend's been really hectic ever since then. But I finally got around to seeing some movies this weekend, so let's talk about. So Minions is directed by Pierre Coffin and Kyle Balda. It stars Pierre Coffin as all the voices of the Minions and Sandra Bullock as the voice of Scarlet Overkill. It's a prequel to the Despicable Me movies, and it tells the story of the Minions and how they actually came to be on Earth, and how pretty much they just follow whoever's the biggest, baddest villain around. And in the late 1960s, Kevin, Stewart, and Bob end up going out on a mission to try and find a new villain to be their master for the rest of the Minions. And it takes them to Orlando where they meet Scarlet Overkill, and that's pretty much the premise of the movie. Now, I really liked the first Despicable Me movie. I thought it was funny and I thought it was really original. And it also was a very family friendly movie that both adults and kids would enjoy. And it was just really good. However, I wasn't such a big fan of Despicable Me 2. I thought that they were just trying to turn Gru into the good guy, which I didn't really like. And they were just using a story that was really, really predictable throughout. And it just wasn't as funny or original as the first one. However, I like the Minions in both movies a lot. I even have a Minion of my own that my grandmother made for me. His name is Randy. He's awesome. And so I was actually pretty excited for the Minions movie. Now, the Minions movie is a very different take on the entire series, and I actually really like this because it shows how the Minions came to be about, which I actually really like, and why they follow Gru, and why they were all about following Gru, and that's because he was the biggest, baddest villain of their time. And since the three main characters in this movie are Minions, Bob, Stewart, and Kevin, it makes for some really funny and cute moments throughout the film involving the Minions. However, the other characters in this movie aren't super funny. There's a family in this movie that actually is probably one of my favorite parts of this movie, but that's the only other characters other than the Minions that are actually really funny. Scarlet Overkill is kind of a cool character, and you see why she's evil in it, and Sandra Bullock does a pretty good job as the voice acting, but you don't really find anything about her funny or like super interesting, and so it kind of falls flat after the Minions and this family. It's also very apparent in this movie that it's not something like Inside Out, which is a movie that kids will understand, but adults will probably like it more than the kids because it has a lot deeper meaning. This movie is specifically very aimed towards kids, and a lot of the jokes are jokes that won't hit adults so much, but if you go see it with a kid, they will laugh really, really hard. But there are a few jokes that adults will actually really like. I had a lot of fun with some of the jokes in it. So it's not completely a kids movie, but a lot of it is. And though it is predictable at times, the storyline for this movie is actually pretty fun. It's cool to see how the Minions survived in these past few years, hundreds and hundreds of years actually, to now in the 1960s. And overall, in that storyline between Scarlet Overkill and the Minions, it's just fun to watch. It has fine animation as well. It's nothing you haven't seen before from the previous Despicable Me movies, but it's nothing bad either. It's pretty much exactly like it is in the Despicable Me movie. It's nothing like Pixar's, but it's still good overall. I also really, really like the soundtrack for this movie. It's all pretty much late 1960s songs, since that's when it takes place. So you have songs by the Turtles, the Beatles, the Doors. So was this movie as good as the first one? No, it doesn't quite reach that point, but I will say it's better than Despicable Me 2. I found that it was funnier than Despicable Me 2, and there was just more things to have fun with in this movie. So I will give Minions 3.5 stars. So guys, have you seen Minions? What did you think about it? How did you think it compared to Despicable Me or Despicable Me 2? Whatever you thought, comment below and let me know. As always guys, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time.